Then 3 weeks later, I actually had a motorbike accident. So my wife was with our daughter at the compound and she just heard a loud bang. And then I was like, oh, white man, white man, white man. And we were the only white people who were there. So she was running there and she saw me laying on the ground. There was a hospital next to us. They took me there. My wife was speaking with me, but I don't know what happened. I have there's a black screen for me. I have no memories. I didn't know what happened.
Hi guys, welcome back to Raw Mission, the podcast where we hear the stories of ordinary men and women who've experienced the goodness of God and who've responded to his call, his command, his invitation to take the good news to the least reached. I'm Matt, your host, and today I'm joined by Micha, who with his family has been living for many years amongst the Sudanese in various East African countries. He'll be talking about the joys of living inside a refugee camp, caring for those who've lost so much after fleeing violence and conflict. And he'll also share about the very real danger of living in a politically unstable part of Africa, how his family have managed to keep pressing on in spite of a coup, an attack on their compound, and a nasty motorbike accident that hospitalized Micha for a long time. Well, welcome, Micha, to the podcast. It's great to have you on. Tell us where you are as much as you can these days. Where are you speaking to me from?
East Africa, I would say right now. Nice to be here with you.
You're not from East Africa. Tell us where you grew up and a little bit about how you got called by the Lord into this kind of work that you've been doing for quite a few years now.
Yeah, I grew up in Germany in a small village, probably like 1,000, 2,000 people living there, in a church, Christian family, with all of these things like Sunday school and kids camps and all of this stuff. But my church is focused on praying for missionaries, and there was always missionaries coming. So I learned a lot from this since I was a kid. And so when I was 18 or so, I went with my friend. We were praying for missionaries over the seas, and we learned a lot of different ways to pray. That was amazing. And then there was this time when I was thinking, well, this question came up, should I go as well as a worker overseas? And then did my normal work, like I'm a mechanic, and then I did a master in that. And then doing the master, I was 23 years old. I asked God again, should I go for overseas? And then I spent 1 year in Zambia, actually, with OM, Operation Mobilization. And I told God, okay, this year is for you. Should I go for long-term overseas working? So I just gave him this year and focused on him and was reading a lot in the Bible. And we were in Zambia, so very African, very poor country. And it was an amazing time. And God spoke to me very clearly in this time through different things, through my normal Bible reading, but actually also to like these small videos on YouTube, like for 10, 40 windows, like all the workers go somewhere, but not to the unreached people groups. And this really touched my heart. And I felt really called there.
Were you mostly surrounded by Christians in Zambia?
Yes, Zambia is a very, very Christian country. All around me was Christians. And I had even questions, okay, why are workers here? Like, why are missionaries here? I mean, they're doing good work there. But actually, where I was at the OM base, they actually had Africans there to send them out to other countries. So there was a lot of this identity there. We want to go to the Muslims. And I went with some other Zambians to the east to Muslims, where there's a lot of Muslims people around in this area in Zambia. And they did outreach there. And for me, it was the first time actually seeing Muslims outside of Germany, but like very deep with the mosque, with the prayer calls in the morning and all of this stuff. And there was one friend of this one missionary there who, like, the Muslim invited me to come with him to his lodge, to a game park. And I went for 3 days with this Muslim, and his name was Mohammed, of course. So Mohammed invited me to his lodge, and then he had like 2 other friends, and they were like 20 years older than me. So they were like 50 and I was like 23. And I was like the whole weekend with them together. And I really saw how they believe. There were these 2 other friends, they came from South Africa. And they were discussing what their iman is telling them and what their iman is allows them and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is crazy how actually lost they are. They try everything to do right, but even their close friends, they have like different beliefs because there's one imam tells them this and the other imam tells them that. And this was the first time I actually was really engaged with Muslims there, and I felt deep love for them.
Yeah. And so you could see how many rules they had to obey and to
Yeah.
follow, and just trying to get everything right, all the details. And it is sad sometimes, isn't it? You can really appreciate how dedicated they are, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's just sad. They don't have that relationship, that connection, that assurance of forgiveness that the gospel offers.
Yes. Yes.
So that
Yeah.
was your year in Zambia. Any other key highlights or difficult moments from that year with OM in Zambia?
Oh, wow, that was a lot of highlights. I had malaria and all of this stuff there, but I felt it was like part of living there. But I had a clear calling, like, okay, I want to go to the unreached people groups and to the Muslims. And then I actually got to know my wife in Zambia as well. Yeah.
Nice. Where's your wife from?
She's from Switzerland, but she grew up in Senegal and she just visited Zambia for 2 months there. She visited friends. So we got to know each other. And I would make the story short. We fell in love, but we were very clear. We had both the calling to go out. Yeah, so we came in together then in Germany 2014 and then got married 2016. Yeah, we were very driven on like, okay, we know we have both the calling to go overseas over work. First, I was a little bit feared to tell my wife, to tell her, well, I want to go to the unreached people groups, to the Muslims. So I was like, I don't tell her first. But when I told her, she was like, oh, I'm so happy that you don't want to go to Zambia again. She was very happy because she had the same calling. And yeah, we had to focus on first get married and then we focused on which organization. We were first looking for Iraq because we thought there's an open door for us to go with OM back then, but it somehow closed. With Iraq back then, there was the ISIS stuff very big. So I told my parents, well, I'm going to Iraq. And they was like, what? Well, let's think about that. But yeah, I think it helped us to process a lot of things. What does it mean to go overseas and to go to some countries like that? But yeah, in the end, the door closed to Iraq and we were looking for a different organization and we ended up with Frontiers then in Germany. And we really felt, wow, this is our heart, the prayer, working in teams, all of this. But we were really, okay, we will go with them. And then we're looking, okay, where do we go? And let's see where God's opens door for us.
That's great. So you both had a background in Africa and a love for unreached peoples. And then actually, of course, you have similar sort of part of Europe that you came from. I presume your wife spoke German as well?
I mean, she's from the French part of
Okay.
Switzerland. So they're normally speaking French at home, but she speaks very well. Like she speaks German, but I don't speak any French.
So then how did you guys end up in the east of Africa?
Well, when we were looking for the organizations, we checked up on the internet where Frontiers was looking for people, and they were looking for people in South Sudan. And there was like, okay, my wife is a nurse and I'm a mechanic, and they were looking for every kind of people. We felt, well, they're looking also for teachers, you know, they want everyone teachers, but we are not no teachers. We want to do something practical. Yeah. So they were looking for people for South Sudan. Any kind of people can go to South Sudan and work there. We said, okay. So we had kind of a list, like when we first were thinking, okay, where do we want to go? Like we were very open, but sometimes it's good to be open, I would say, but sometimes it's helping, okay, what is our heart? Where do we love to go? So we were writing down, okay, we love Africa because we both were in Africa. So we love Africa. So if we can, we will go to Africa. Then like Muslims was clear, we want to go to Muslims, tough places. So we wrote down, okay, well, there's no one or not so many people. We wanted to go to these places. We wrote down French speaking because I could learn French. But it was like, that would be nice to have, but don't have to be. So we wrote down some of these things. And then we looked up on the internet, okay, where does Frontiers look for people? And we found South Sudan. We didn't know much about South Sudan back then, actually. So we were just like, okay, they're looking for people. Everyone, like nurses, mechanics, anyone can go. So we wrote them, okay, we will go. We are happy to go for a vision trip to South Sudan. We did our vision trip in, I think, February 2017. So there was a big clash in South Sudan 2016. So there was a lot of fighting going on. So we did a vision trip there and we went different parts of South Sudan. It's a very tough country, but we were saying, well, we can manage to go there. And there was another couple with us, and there are two doctors, and they said, oh, well, we can also manage to go there. So we decided together with them. So they would be team leaders, and we would go with them together there to South Sudan.
That's good, because we often say it's more about availability than ability. If you're willing,
Yeah.
the Lord is often saying, who will go? He's looking for volunteers. We don't have to have a big voice from heaven.
Yes, exactly. So
Good.
like we did the citizenship 2017, and then we did our candidate course 2017. So we quit our jobs, and then in 2018 we went to South Sudan. First in January our daughter was born. So yeah, so we had a newborn with us. It was quite tough with some people that we will go to this country. So we had to manage this one a little bit. There was like some voices who said, well, we can't go there as a family. Maybe you alone, but not with a newborn there. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember someone saying to us, are you taking your daughter with you? She was 3 months when we went to Pakistan as a family.
Yes.
And, well, of course we're taking her. We're not leaving her behind.
Yes, exactly.
People do have babies out there. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, our team leaders, they started, I think, 1 or 2 months earlier in the country. And then we came to them. We started in the capital in Juba. And the beginning was very tough. Like we were in a guest house. So we just had one room with a bathroom, but we couldn't cook for ourselves. So we were just eating out street foods and stuff. So I was like every 2 weeks, I was laying down in the bed with fever and some bug in my stomach. So like it was terrible. But yeah, we managed, I would say.
Wow. Yeah, it's difficult when you first arrive. Your body's not used to the food. Your body's not used to the
Yeah.
temperatures. And especially if you have a young baby, it is a big stress.
Yeah.
It's a big
Yes.
challenge. Yeah, talk us through more of the environment in South Sudan. What did it look like? What did it feel like? What did you see on the streets? What were the real challenges for somebody just starting?
Yeah. So South Sudan was very tough back then. Like there was no electricity in the capital. So everything was with generator running on the hotels and stuff like that. So actually the airport was a tent. It was very, very basic. And in the evenings, like you were supposed to be at the compound in the evening, like with sundown, because in the evenings there would be gunshots outside and like people robberies going around. So it was very tough in the beginning. But then we started in Juba, but we didn't stay a long time in Juba, 2 months probably. And then we went to different parts in South Sudan. So we helped one worker at this place. He had to fly out to get married, actually. And we were saying, okay, we will help you with the business there. And we stayed there and we tried to help him to do all this stuff. But it was a very tough time there. I think after we arrived, so the missionary left. So then we were there with our team leaders. And then there was a big clash coming from the community. And all the NGOs were burned down. Like the whole camp was on the streets. And people told us, don't go out. They're beating white people. So we were hiding inside the house with our small daughter, 6 months old. And then there were people coming into the compound, bashing at the door. And I was like, holding the door. So it was a very intense time. So we were actually thinking, okay, time is over for us as a team. Like say, okay, God, this is yours now. We come to you. So this was in our heads. Yeah.
That sounds so scary and traumatizing. What was the reason they were coming for foreigners at that point? Was it just the collapse of civil society and just gangs just wanting money and stuff, power vacuums, or was it something against the foreigners?
So it was one of the biggest evacuation for the NGOs actually in South Sudan. And it was the first time where actually the people went against the foreigners. And the reason is not very logical. Like the people who were on the ground, they wanted to have work from the NGOs, but they were not educated. And the NGOs, they really tried to give work to people who were educated. But like somehow the youth was not happy with that. And there were some rumors as well, like probably some fractions from Sudan gave some money to make problems there. There were some rumors like that. So in the end, things exploded very much, and all the NGOs and UN compound was completely burnt down, and everyone was flying out. And we did as well then the next day, evacuated to Uganda then. We took 2 months in Uganda to refocus, also to go to our theology of suffering again. Okay, what does it mean? Sometimes it's so easy to say, "Yeah, well, I will suffer for Jesus." And then what does it mean? Yeah. It was very tough time, especially for my wife. She was like, well, I want to go home. So we took some time reading the Bible, praying together. And then after 2 months, we were going back. So our team leaders, they went back earlier, and then we came, and they had to fly out then. So we were again alone. We were alone at this place, trusting in the people again. Because the thing is, what happened before, you didn't saw it coming. So and one day everything is fine, and the next day everything exploded. There was no signs to see.
Wow. Can you say something about how your theology was shaped? What kind of things did you learn and think about that gave you that courage to return back to the country?
Well, I would say you are looking in the Bible and see, okay, like, yeah, people are suffering and people are dying because of Christ's sake. So before we were, okay, Jesus, you called us here, we will be safe. But this is not the truth. But we still had the calling from Jesus, you should go there. We should be working on the Sudanese. And we prayed and had just trusted God. Okay, it's time to go back. And He is with us. And I think what we learned in all of this, He was always with us. We felt Him in all of these parts. Like looking back, He was always there with us and holding us and crying with us. Yeah. So this gave us the courage to go back. But okay, things like this can happen again. So, okay, this is where we are called to, and we will go again and see what's coming.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'm sure that was, very, very tough time. Okay, so then you went back. Did you go to a new location in South Sudan? And did you find you were using your skills in nursing and mechanics and so on?
Well, we went back to this place, starting again with language learning. And then 3 weeks later, I actually had a motorbike accident. So my wife was with our daughter at the compound, and she just heard a loud bang. And then I was like, oh, white man, white man, white man. And we were the only white people who are there. So she was running there, and she saw me laying on the ground. There was a hospital next to us. They took me there. My wife was speaking with me, but I don't know what happened. I have there's a black screen for me. I have no memories. So I didn't know what happened.
A car hit your bike?
No, a bike hit me, and I was very slow, but the bike, they were probably drunk, and they were very fast, and they hit me. And I didn't wear a helmet, which was very bad. So you should never do that.
Yeah, it's hard in some of those cultures. It's not very common often, is it, to wear a helmet in the heat?
Yeah. I mean, normally I wear a helmet, but I just wanted to go very fast to this small place next to us to check for emails because we didn't have internet on our compound. So we always had to go there. So on the way back, I got hit from a motorbike and I broke my jaw. I had a small brain bleeding, but there was no x-ray or stuff like that working at the hospital. So there was actually a power cut back then. And it took 2 days until I was flown out to Kenya.
Oh, wow.
So we flew to Kenya, and then they asked us, okay, we are happy to stay in Kenya or if you want to go back to Germany. And we both had the peace to stay in Kenya. We said, if we go back to Germany, we will never go back, we said. So we'll stay in Kenya. I had the peace for that. And then there was a Kenyan doctor who was very trained in this. Like he goes to Germany and to Switzerland to train doctors to repair the jaw and stuff like that. But the cool thing was like, he asked me if he could pray for me. So he actually prayed before the surgery and gave all of his to God and told God is the one who heals and God is the one who uses his hands and stuff. I had really much peace about that. It was a very special time, yeah, I would say.
Wow. So he was
Yeah.
a believer, a follower of Jesus.
Yeah, he was a follower of Jesus, yeah. And then still, it took 3 months until we could go back. I have now some metal inside my jaw, so yeah. And I was very down. Like, I couldn't eat. I just could drink soup. Told Madeline, let's go home. I'm finished. This is enough for me now. It was this first half a year was very tough. So
Yeah.
let's go home. But then Martin was the one who told me, well, let's pray and let's read the Bible and let's see what Jesus tells us. So this is what we did again. So we were reading, taking time, and praying, and God gave me another calling. He really spoke to me through the Bible again, through Revelation 21, I think. Yeah, so he spoke to me that we should go back. Like, the people don't know me, the people didn't hear from me. You should go and tell them. Then we went back again to this place and we stayed for 6 months more there. We were really enjoying the time there. But we were fearing a little bit the 3 weeks mark because every time, like 3 weeks, we had to fly out and something happened. So, like, oh, well, 3 weeks, what's going to happen now? But yeah, we could stay for 6 months there and have language lessons.
Yeah. Was the language you were learning Arabic?
Yes, we learned Sudanese Arabic there. Then the couple came back to this place. Sadly, I broke the motorbike.
It was their
Yeah.
motorbike.
Yes. Well, I think they managed, hopefully. And then we had a time in Germany after the 6 months. And then we went back to another area in South Sudan, near the Nuba Mountains from Sudan. And we worked there for 2 more years, living very, very simple. Like, we had mud hut. There was no running water. We had a small electricity, small solar panels, living in a mud hut, and a donkey car came with the water for us. And yeah, this was our 2 years there. And the amazing stuff was, like, when you ask my wife, Madeleine, she grew up in Senegal, but she's a city girl. And she told God before, I will never go in a village in Africa. And then she was actually living in the mud hut there. And she was like, this is just by God's grace that I'm managing living here. So this is kind of what you said, we are available and God gives you the strength to just go through it.
So, what were your relationships like with local people there in that location? And were they all Muslims around you? Many, I guess, refugees from Sudan? And yeah, tell us about some of the interactions with local Muslims.
Yeah, so we were living in the refugee camp. So they were just neighbors from us. So they had the same hut like we did. We had solar panels. They didn't have that. Some of them maybe had solar panels. But like, we were actually living the same like the refugee did. So we were very close with them. And it was amazing because this opened doors. So you go to your neighbor and ask, can we have your, I don't know, like everything. Like, there was a market where, like, we had some stuff, they came to us and borrowed it from us, and we borrowed some stuff from them. So we were living together with them. And we had very close relationship. And it was amazing because a lot of doors opened up with the people, because a white guy living just like this, we choose to live like this. Like, they had all these question marks. Oh, why do we do this? We can live in Germany, and why do we do this? And then we could openly share and pray for people there. Yeah. There are some Christian tribes as well. So there's a mixture of Muslims and Christian tribes around. So there are some churches as well around. But yeah, we went to the Muslims. They were our neighbors. And someday we had always kids on our compounds. Our kids loved that. Like, we had our second daughter there as well. Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating. Yeah, not many people live in that kind of poverty, that kind of close proximity to Muslim neighbors in that particular way in a refugee camp. That's very unusual. So give us some examples of maybe Muslims who were interested in learning more about Jesus or reading the Bible. Was there much openness, or were they quite closed faith-wise?
I would say they normally, when we were at the home from people, I mean, there's more women's than men's in the camp because the men's normally go and work somewhere else. But if you would be at the home and speaking with people, or they were like sick, had some problems, we could always pray for them and share from Jesus. Sometimes they would even have dreams from Jesus. There was this one lady, she said, our son, he had a dream from Jesus, but he didn't know what to do with that. So yeah, we were just sharing. Sometimes there was nothing coming back. So we did, okay, we shared and this is what we did. Well, let's see what's coming after that. But we prayed for a lot of people. And it was very interesting because we had sometimes had the season where we were like just surviving, and sometimes these questions came up, okay, what are we doing here? Like, okay, we're praying for people, but we don't see anything. And then what was very interesting, so after half a year, people came to us and said, yeah, you prayed when I couldn't get a baby and now I'm pregnant. And so they connected our prayer. Well, this is the answer to your prayers, which quite encouraged us. But we were still also in a kind of language learning phase and surviving phase back then, also as a team, because we all started. So we had to figure out our ways to survive, to make our visas in the capital and stuff. So it was very much in a pioneering state back then. And now there's a team, there's a clinic actually, and there's big opportunities. It's really amazing what's happening. So our hearts are still there. We love what the team is doing there.
Did you say there's a clinic there now?
Yes, there's a small clinic. Like our team leaders, they are two doctors and they build up a clinic there and they do some project. I actually went back, like we went already to Khartoum, but I went back there and helped them to build the solar system for the clinic because I did for all the housings, I did the solar system. So that was my mechanic stuff. I didn't do actually anything with mechanic, but with the solar system, so with my hand, I could help the team a lot.
Yeah, that's great. So what did you do the rest of the time, practically?
You mean after South Sudan?
Even in the camp, if you weren't doing a lot of mechanics, what was the government thinking you were
Yeah.
doing there?
From the government, we were openly missionaries there. So that would be very easy. Like South Sudan is a very easy country for us because we can just get the visas and then you're fine. So we didn't have to start a business or something like that. So what we mainly did is we were in the camp, we did language lessons and we connected our language lessons with sharing Bible stories. So I had my language helper and then I took a Bible story and I learned to share this story and I tried to share it and he helped me. He helped me in his way, how he understood the story. So it's a great tool. I would say, yeah, language learning is a great tool to actually share gospel. And then we were talking about what is faith, what is forgiveness, and all of this. So we were talking about this and talking about Jesus. And just like going out to people, drinking coffee, drinking tea, and having just like a relationship with the people.
Yeah, so important. So that was 2 years in the north of South Sudan. What caused you
Yes.
to move from there?
Well, Madeline and me, we always were thinking then we don't know how things will be in the future with school and stuff, like what is coming. And we always say, well, it seems like there's an open tour to Sudan and go into Sudan. So we were praying about that and we said, well, there's not so many teams starting in Sudan yet, or not so many workers yet starting there. But it looks like there's a door open. So we spoke with our team leaders and told them, well, I think God put on our heart to go to Sudan. And back then, they had already a single lady on the team, and another couple was coming then, which would be replacing us. So we felt, okay, we can go to Sudan. And we felt like God is calling us to Sudan and open up a team there. And we were thinking, okay, if you open up a team in Sudan, like always need some people who start some stuff that people then follow and come. So if other people see, oh, this is actually possible to go, more people come and start things there. So that was one reason why we actually went to Sudan.
Yeah, and Sudan is, I think, in the top 5 or 6 countries in the world with unreached peoples. There's so many unreached peoples there, such a need,
Yeah.
and quite
Yeah.
tricky to get into. So, yeah, it was an opportunity, and you took it then.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So then we went into Sudan. I think in October 21 was when we entered to Sudan. And actually, there was this kind of revolution in Sudan and hope was risen. Okay, the Sudanese had a lot of hope into the country. And we entered staying in the hotel, and 3 days after, there was this military coup happening. And we stayed in the hotel and seeing, okay, what's going on outside. And then, like every tourist, as fast as they can, they wanted to leave the country. And Madeline and me, we sat down and said, okay, let's pray. Let's see what we're going to do now. And we prayed and we felt like the peace to stay longer in the country. So we went to the hotel and said, can we stay a week longer in the hotel? And they were really like, oh, what? What are you guys doing? We had like 2 small children and everyone wants to go out and you're asking us to stay. Of course you can stay. Yeah, so we stayed for 1 week longer and we see like reporters coming and Al Jazeera is coming and everyone makes videos and interviews and stuff. And we are sitting there with our family. It was very interesting feeling, yeah. Like after 1 week, things came a little bit down. So we went out to another place. We rented a flat, the Airbnb in Khartoum. We just had to figure out when is the demonstration happening, because then there would be a lot of tear gas and gunshots and stuff. So we stayed in. But there was always times to go out and to discover and to see Khartoum. And then, yeah, so we took our time to discover how can we actually get a long-term visa? Where do we stay for long-term? So, yeah, we discovered a little bit for 6 weeks and we spoke with a university. So we went actually back to university for learning Arabic. So this is how we got our visa for the first year. So we had to go out to Egypt and then fly back in through the university. And then we had our 1 year visa there. Back then, studying high Arabic, which was terrible. But we had our visa.
The university level Arabic was very different to the street language.
Yes, you couldn't really use it. Okay, what we learned much was reading and writing. We learned this. It helped there, but on the street, you couldn't really use it. So, and we had the slang from South Sudan. So now we were in Khartoum and the Arabic is a little bit higher. Like in South Sudan, they sometimes don't care so much about if it's a man or a woman. So in Sudan, it is much better Arabic there. So we had to relearn this a little bit. And then we figured out, okay, we had this 1 year spare to prepare something for us to make a long-term visa. So we spoke with some other missionaries in the country, and there was some people from Indonesia, there was some people from South America, and we had all the same heart. So we sat together, and then actually we started a business which would prepare for us a business visa then. It took us 1 year to register a business, and yeah, also to combine all of these three cultures together was very interesting, was very funny. Yeah, we started an international church with them together. So we were meeting up on Fridays. I had great fellowship together there. It was very special.
That's good. So they weren't with our organization, just what we call God's team.
Yeah. So we were in God's team. Like they're a different organization, but very close to us, I would say. So from their heart. So yeah, God's team together there.
So you went from very rural, basic village life in a refugee camp to quite a large city, still with conflict going on around. What was the challenge of living in a big city compared to the basic village life or refugee camp life? Have you ever thought about your role in God's great mission to draw all people to himself? There are so many ways you could get involved, even if you don't end up overseas. You could share some of these episodes with a friend, introduce Raw Mission to your church, give us a 5-star rating, or write us a review. You could also become a regular partner in this ministry, perhaps by giving £10 or £20 a month, enabling us to keep growing our team here and sending more labourers to the harvest field. You could even join our team in the UK. We're often on the lookout for new staff, for advocates and mobilisers around the country, or for those of you with finance and administration gifts who could work with us here in the office. Do pray about that. Thanks, guys. And now let's rejoin the interview.
The living for us was very easy because we were like, okay, we have running water, we have electricity. Sometimes, of course, there was like 6 or 12 hours electricity cuts, but for us, it was very like life-giving because we had so much stuff. The living was more difficult for all the other missionaries there because they came from a different side. For us, it was very easy. But what was very difficult for us was actually in the refugee camp, we were very close with everyone and we could really speak with everyone and was very fast, very familiar and could be in contact with people and you got invited to their home and you eat with them together. And this was very different in Khartoum. Like Sudanese are very hospitality, I would say, but we were now in a big city. And before we were like living among them. And now it felt like, okay, we needed to do extra effort to be in contact with some people. And because of the time with all of this demonstration, also we choose to live in a place where there's more rich people, and the more they have money, the more closed down they were. So that was kind of difficult time for us to actually be in contact with our neighbors there. We had there our challenges, but we found them. So I went to gym, found their natural Sudanese contacts, which was great. But it needed extra effort from us to be in contact with our Sudanese neighbors.
Would you say they're very proud of being Muslim in Sudan in the context you experienced, or did they have any interest in reading the Bible or questioning their own traditions and history?
Probably it depends on which tribe. So there are some tribes who are very proud that they are Muslim. There's the Arab tribes who are very proud of themselves. And then there's the other Sudanese tribes who are darker, and they probably come from the more African side. And I would say they are more open for the gospel or to pray and to speak about that, and not so proud. Sometimes they also didn't care about all of this. Like they did what they have to do, like Ramadan and all of this stuff. But beside that, they didn't care.
Did you see much traditional African religious practices? Did you see witchcraft or lots of folk Islamic practices as well?
I would say it's definitely very much there. Like it depends on how open you're looking for this stuff. In South Sudan, in the camps, you see it much more openly. Like people will go to the witch doctor. That's normal. And in Khartoum, because it's a big city, it's not that visible. But still, people are like, it's very obvious that there is witchcraft happening, and that people are very open to that, especially women's. There's a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Did it impact how you shared the gospel when you're talking to people? Did you use a lot of storytelling or parables of Jesus, or just using the miracle examples in scripture more than in a Western context where you might be talking more theologically around guilt and innocence?
Yeah, I mean, we did pray probably more for people and try really to, okay, let's pray and pray for healing and that they have this power encounter, I would say, because like this is what they need to see. Okay, there is a power who's actually more powerful than their witchcraft and stuff like that.
That makes sense. Yeah. So continue with your story. You're now in another country. So what happened?
So we were in Khartoum, then our teammates came. So we had another single guy from Hungary, and there was another couple with us. So they were on our team. They just arrived through our business visas and stuff. And then actually, Madeline got the diagnosis in November that she has breast cancer. So, yeah. So that was kind of a challenge for us again. So we actually left our team behind in Khartoum and we went to Germany. But we still kept our whole flat and our belongings we left there. And we're saying we'll have to focus, we will go back. We wanted to stay in Khartoum for the next 10, 20 years. Like this was our vision. We want to stay here. Like we bought everything. We had our whole flat was finally finished. And then we had to fly out because of breast cancer for my wife. So we fled out and we were still team leaders from our team. So we were in contact with them. And Madeline got her treatment and really had the vision to go back. After the treatment, we will go back to Khartoum. And then there was April coming. I was actually visiting the team in March, looking how they are doing. And I told them already back then, I had the feeling of there's more military stuff coming. And so be sure that you have enough food reserve at home if there's something happening, that you can stay home for 2 weeks or so. So I told them, and then I flew out. And then soon after, the whole thing exploded and the war started in Khartoum. That was a tough time also for us, like seeing our team in Khartoum, having phone calls every day, how they are doing. We as team leaders, we couldn't help them. It was very difficult, like in a different sense, because we wanted to take care of them, but was very difficult for us as team leaders as well. But we prayed a lot, and then it took almost 1 week on after they actually came then to Germany. So they did a debriefing. We did debriefing together as a team, and then they stayed a little bit longer, did debriefing. We were still in the treatment for Madeleine for the breast cancer. And then there was this big question, okay, how long will this war be? Can we go back to Sudan? All our belongings are still there. So even if we took much more than our team, but we left a lot of things there. And the kids had toys and stuff. And they were like, oh, I'm missing this. And we told them, well, this is in Sudan and we can't go back to Sudan. So it was a quite tough time. And we were thinking, okay, what are we going to do now? So we had summer and we were thinking, okay, treatment is almost finished for Madeleine and she's doing great. She still had to take some strong medication, but we didn't have the vision to stay in Germany. So we wanted to go back and we wanted to go work under Sudanese. And we still had the feeling to help getting people ready for working for Sudan. And then we entered to our country now, where we're working again under Sudanese refugees. So we entered here in December 22 or 23, working again under a Sudanese refugee. And this is how we entered up in our third country. Now, again, our kids still missing Sudan. Like our daughter went there to school, so she had some friends there. And now our daughter is doing online school because in this country she can't go to the school here where we are right now. But she's doing online school, which is great for her. She loves it. And we are working under our refugees, Sudanese refugees. And it's great. It's very amazing. Sometimes you know what's happening. The war is terrible and we lost so much stuff and have to forgive also our landlords because they probably took some stuff from us. But then we see now the people who are the refugees here is actually the people who are the more richer people from Sudan. And they are quite open now. These are people we will never be in Khartoum together because they would have too much money for us there. And they would be upper class. But now they are here and a lot of them lost everything. So now we are sitting with them together, drinking tea and sharing the Bible, praying for them, helping them, starting businesses and stuff. And yeah, God has just opened up doors there as well, which is amazing.
Yeah, and because of your many experiences of being relocated and pushed out and losing everything, then you have that heart connection with them. They trust you more
Yes.
because you understand them a little bit more
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
most of us who've never been through anything like that.
Yeah. If I'm on the street and I'm just open my mouth and I speak Sudanese Arabic, they have already this smile. And then I tell them, well, we were in Khartoum, and then you have the heart connection immediately. And then we also lost our belongings there. We are kind of the same like them. I mean, we have now a lot of things again, but that we can really much connect with them. And yeah, so there's a lot of heart connection together with them, which is very nice. And we can pray for them and see people get healed.
Wow. Yeah. Do you have any more personal stories, anecdotes of individuals that God's been at work in?
As we were here in this country now, me and Madri were praying who we should invest in. Like for the Sudanese, there's so much need. So we were praying, and God just connected us with different Sudanese families. And especially Madeleine has a lot of opportunities to go to the wives' home and pray for them and read in the Bible with them. And there's this one lady, she lost her man and she has two kids, like two sons. And we helped her, and Madeleine shared her the story. And 2 weeks ago, she told Madeleine, well, I see how God is taking care of me. And she really opens up, and we see like how God is looking for her, which is very nice to see. And also like how she's open up to the gospel. And then I have a close friendship. The man, I took like 1 year with him. I did some language lessons with him again. And then we just talk about the trauma he went through, actually. So we did kind of trauma healing, which we didn't call it trauma healing. We were just sitting there and drinking coffee together. And then he was just speaking through all what he was going through. And it's crazy when you have like a 50-year-old man, but suddenly he's crying in front of you. I was like, oh, I'm a mechanic. Normally I have nothing to do with this. But yeah, Jesus somehow gave me wisdom to take care of this man and to pray for him. And now I saw him like from always looking down and no hope in his country to build him up, and he has now hope for his country. He's actually now back in Khartoum and working there. Still praying for him that he really gets to know Jesus more in the depth. But it's just like this family, for example, they really see us as a blessing. So when they enter the well, your feet are bringing blessing to our homes. I feel like, well, if they would really understand this deep truth that we're actually bringing blessing and that we're actually bringing this Jesus to their home, we're still praying for them. But then we hear from other Sudanese around us who are with other missionaries together. And actually, we see there's a ministry where people, when they are sick, they're coming there and they get prayed for and they get healed. And then they start reading in the Bible. And there are already some people who got baptized. So we see some Sudanese coming to Jesus and starting home churches, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's great. That's encouraging. And we never know the role that we have to play. You have so many interactions every day, 10, 15, 20 interactions, different people. And it just moves them forward a little bit closer to Christ. And they meet somebody else and have another conversation. So, it's all part of the story for hundreds of people. Well, as we draw to a close, I mean, you had to think a lot about the theology of suffering. I imagine with all the changes you've gone through over many years, even with 2 young kids, you've had to think about the theology of transition and change and being temporary, living on this earth, not having the stability that so many people look for in the West. You know, they want a stable career and a stable job, stable house, stable school for their children. Do you have any thoughts around that? And after that, maybe just, any final stories you'd like to share with us? Just funny, crazy things in the culture, or just some kind of encouragement for our listeners?
I guess for us, it's always be a challenge. Even now, me and Martin, we are speaking about that and saying, well, we want to be ready for Jesus wherever he puts us to go there. And we try to make stability for our family, like for our kids, where we are as fast as we can. But also, we don't want to hold on this place. We would love to go back one day to Sudan. Like our hope is to go back, hopefully this year, someday for a visit or so. This is my prayer. And Martin is always like, we don't have to make it us too comfort here, though. Like if it's too nice here, we don't want to go back anyway. So we try to be in this balance to, okay, we will be ready if God pulls us out to go again and go with the Sudan. There was also a missionary who once told us, so if you're working under Sudanese, you have to be ready to bounce this side and this side and this side. So just to be ready to bounce with them. So I think this is what we try to be like. We want to be ready on the move again and be with the Sudanese.
It's like a nomadic lifestyle, a pilgrim lifestyle.
Yes. And I guess it's coming back to the calling, like how I got the calling to go overseas. There was this one prayer I had. I was like ticking up the rights I have, like all the things I think I believe I have the right for. So I wrote down, I have the right for a car. I have the right for a house because I want a house. I want a family. I want kids. So all of these rights I actually gave up to God. So there was a deep prayer. I was crying. Like I wrote it down and I was crying when I was writing it down. But I gave it to God and say, well, God, this is not my right. It belongs all to you. And I'm here for Jesus. Like, where does he call us? What does he want from us? And we want to give it to him.
That's really powerful. I think that's a good challenge for all of us, actually. Just to go away and say, well, what am I clinging to and why am I holding it so tight? Am I willing to put it back on the altar, put it back before Jesus and say, these are gifts. And if you want them to be temporary, help me be mobile if I need to be mobile, ready to go again at your calling. Yeah, because everything is temporary here. We are strangers on this earth, foreigners and strangers, the scriptures say, don't they, in I think Hebrews. Yeah, well, thank you. It's a good challenge. Any final interesting story, challenging story, language learning, bugs?
I give you a funny story. So when I was at the beginning of my language learning, we were invited to a wedding. And then they had this drink there and they offered me to drink something. And I told them a little bit. And then they gave me a little bit. And then I wanted to say, okay, this is enough. But I told them in Arabic, more. more. So they will keep on giving. Like I had a full cup. I said, more. And then people were laughing at me because they understood how I did, but I said the wrong word. So, but I learned the word then. This is the word I never will miss again.
That's good. Khalas, yeah.
Yeah, halas. But I said, lissa. So,
That's good.
yeah.
Yeah, we all make those mistakes early on.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, you have to be able to laugh at yourself, don't you, as well? Because there are some things that are very deep and serious and traumatic, but you have to enjoy the light moments and the funny moments too.
Yes.
Very important.
Exactly. Yes.
Good. Brother, thank you so much. It's been really good to hear some of your stories. And yeah, may the Lord continue to bless you and use you amongst the Sudanese, the refugees there, as you continue to daily sacrifice yourselves and your dreams and your rights, put them on the altar for Jesus. And we pray you'll see much fruit. We know the fruit will come. We're promised that, but we don't know if we'll see it. And I just pray that you will see some of it and that you'll be able to rejoice, amongst the people that you're living with.
Amen.
Thanks for being with us. All right. God bless and bye-bye. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Do get in touch if you want to share how God is speaking to you through the podcast, or if you want to partner with us in raising up more workers for the harvest. The easiest way to do that is to go to the show notes of any episode and click on Support the Show, where you can become a regular partner by giving even just a few dollars a month. That would be a great encouragement to us here. You can also email me personally, matt@frontiers.org.uk. And let's finish with these powerful lyrics from the Wren Collective song, The Cost. I don't need safety as much as I need you. You're dangerous, but Lord, you're beautiful. I'll chase you through the pain. I'll carry my cross, because real love is not afraid to bleed. Have a great week, and do join us next time to hear from more ordinary people serving our extraordinary God in some of the toughest parts of the world.